Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Conquer the Clutter podcast. We are headed towards spring. It is February 1st, and there are only 28 days in February. Yay! I don't know how you feel about it, but I am so done with winter. So, what I thought today, I thought we would do a little bit of a roll back to what we were talking about before we went high octane into the Conquer the Challenges, a la guerrilla trekking, and overcoming the impromptu nature of challenges. That's what that was really about. You can't foresee because you haven't done it before. So you can't prepare. You may or may not have the skills and abilities, and yet you're still going to have to manage. All right, some choice that yields what you need from what you're undertaking, like, climbing through underbrush, um, like having an adolescent gorilla decide he'd like to be your best friend up close and personal, and managing your own reactions so that you don't exacerbate the situation. Anyway, I hope those people who check in with me on Instagram saw the video. I'm so proud of myself. Yesterday, I posted one of the first successful videos that I've ever done. Generally, somebody else does it. So I'm hoping that I'm just going to pick, because we have a wealth. Braden and I went through the footage, and that video is going to be tremendous. And we have so much positive footage that we're going to incorporate the hospital tour a little differently than I did it, and the A Ride for Women program, and an interview with the Ugandan Wildlife Authority representative around conservation and protection of species. And then we're going to do a bigger separate video for each one of those topics so that they don't use up all of the footage. Nobody wants to tune into Conquer the Challenges video and end up with something like War and Peace, right, as far as the volume of it. So, and we want you to see the gorillas, and we want you to really look at the experiences, the challenges that did present themselves, and what would you do in that situation? And maybe if you've never had that kind of challenge, as most of the time I had never had that kind of challenge, think, maybe in the interim of coming up with a strategy with that kind of stressor, maybe I'll use something that Elaine did until I can come up with something that's more organically mine. Okay, which is the point of it. So let's start with the topic today, and that's about finding balance and peace, right? And that's not just about being in a positive state of mind. It's also about being in a ready state of mind for the next challenge that's coming into your life, right? So we're going to start a small series working in search, obviously, of that balance and peace with whatever our past is. Because if we bring our past forward in a way that is disruptive or unconscious, then we're splitting what we have to offer today. We're busy doing cleanup in aisle 11 from our past. And sometimes we develop responses that we stop being aware of. They become what we call limiting beliefs because they're automatic, not because they're good, but because we've done them so often, we've overlearned them. And really, some of those we should put out in the trash, or some of those we should fully open up and have a better look at so that we're driving the bus. Unconscious and limiting beliefs, unconsciousness and limiting beliefs aren't driving the bus for us. All right. So, whatever our past is, the importance of being aware of it is that it does not determine, dictate, or influence excessively. Our past will always somewhat. It's okay to learn from it. But when it dictates, determines, and influences us excessively, we want the future for ourselves, not a repeat, a rehash, and a constant trying to understand, remember, and deal with. Okay. So for the next few podcasts, it's all going to be about finding, developing, and holding on to peace and balance. And we're going to use some of the workbooks that I've recommended to you because many of you already have enough books, or you can't afford to buy that many books. So I want you to have a taste of some of the more translatable strategies from the workbooks so that you could even perhaps be motivated to contact the library and see if they have them on loan, or buy them in partnership with, if you really need them, buy them in partnership with other people you know who are working on the same thing, even if they're not part of the podcast community, and share them. All right. So in the past, before the Conquer the Challenges guerrilla trekking period, we'd done a little investigation on adverse childhood experiences, okay, in a few other podcasts. And then it got interrupted. We all have messages. Understand that. There's nothing wrong with it. We all have messages that we carry in our heart from our past. All right. And they stand to be something that we connect with more powerfully than learning that we are engaging in the present, because they have a way of becoming the foundation of our beliefs, limiting or not, all right, the good ones and the not so useful ones, our values, all right, our fears, and all of those become pieces of our identity, elements of ourself, all right? And we tend to hear those messages, even the silent ones, all right? They speak to us in a way that very few other things can. And they become almost default. You're not even thinking about them. They're there, all right? And they happen and influence us before even the voices on the committee, all right? And we know that we really need to manage. We need to be the chair of the committee with those voices from the past. But we also need to be vigilant about the automatic thoughts we have and how useful they are to the context of our life today. So to that end, I want each and every one of you, and maybe a reminder to myself as well, to be better resourced, all right? Better resourced to be able to recognize right away before they get a grip and challenge those automatic limiting beliefs. Many of us, most of us, in fact, have them moment to moment, day by day. All right. These aren't sort of just because they're from the past, they're in the past and something has to happen to trigger them. They can become incorporated in the fiber of the way we think. I want you to challenge that. All right. Because when they hearken from the past, they have a way of either giving us a false peace. All right. We just accept the limits. We just accept the negative things we say about ourselves or the things we believe we can't do, we're not good at, or they are alarm bells because they're unfinished business. And they keep us, in that case, if they're unfinished business, all right, they can keep us in a state of constant high alert. All right. What does that do? That makes us more susceptible to reacting rather than choosing. All right. So I'm hoping that whatever we are susceptible to that we're not aware of, we become more aware of. And then you and I together over the next few podcasts can develop strategies and resources that make you readier, all right, to be able to learn one of the most important things in our life, and that is to regulate our stress responses. So, what are our stress responses? Who remembers what the 4 primary ones are? Anybody? I'm going to keep my eye open more carefully for hands up. Anybody want to jump in with what? Okay, Claudia, yeah. You want to
Is it the hi, good morning? Is it the fight, flight, freeze, fawn responses?
Yes, they are. Wonderful. Yay. Yay, stuff stuck. All right. And so those are the 4 primary ones. But are you aware, each one of you, are you aware of the patterns that repeat themselves in your life? Are you aware of the patterns? All right. Because often those are a side effect of what has happened in the past, unfinished business of your life and mine. Happens to everybody, myself included.
Elaine,
Yeah, where are we? Yeah, somebody's got their hand up.
question. Would
Yeah.
you repeat those because her voice was somewhat distorted?
Okay, fight, flight, fawn, and freeze. So fight is you automatically go on attack. Something threatens you, stress response, you go in, you're going to kill it before it kills you. All right. Quite often we overreact when we do that. And we're dealing with the fear of the past added to whatever we perceive the threat is today or the disadvantage. That's fight. Flight, no matter what, we never stand up for ourselves. We're gone. Okay. The only thing that they're aware of, whatever the situation is the breeze as it goes through the door and you exit. And if you continually run from things, then you continually are living in a state of hypervigilance and fear. Even a low level one. Oh, I don't know if I could handle that. Oh, if I go out, I could be afraid. I will be afraid something could happen. You're always dealing with the coulda, shoulda, woulda. All right. You're not dealing with I am. I am is the present. Now, fawn, how many people here see themselves as people pleasers? The other person can be 110% in the wrong, but you're going to become their best friend as a way to protect yourself. Because maybe you've had an awful lot of aggravation and an awful lot of aggression, verbal, mental, emotional, in your past when you were vulnerable. And so you constantly avoid by fawning. All right. You take care of the other person rather than taking care of yourself. Or one of the other things you don't learn as a people pleaser and you don't practice enough are healthy boundaries and limits. What does that set you up for? You will be a repeated target. There's always somebody with a chip on their shoulder. All right. And the energy that you give off means, pick me, pick me. All right. Anybody here feel that that is something that they experience disproportionately? Put your hands up. Yeah. Yeah. No more people pleasing. Go back to the series in the podcast library on healthy boundaries and limits. I want you to commit that to memory. And then I want you to start practicing it for yourself. All right. That is the best way to develop reciprocal relationships. Relationships that are not reciprocal, where you are giving more than you are getting. It happens, but I'm talking about there's a pattern where that's a pattern. All right. That's not a healthy relationship. Fawn and freeze. Freeze is when you go into like ice. You dissociate, maybe. All right. The person could be screaming their head off. They could be being abusive. They could be being manipulative. They could be doing whatever. And you are in your own little world. All right. And you are in your own little world. But you can't turn your senses off. You may go into your own little world and just be somewhere else. But your senses are picking up the stimulus and they will register silently inside you. All right. And so when you avoid that situation by freezing, right, you have a whole mystery soup, all right, of not understandable responses and feelings and sensations, and because your senses continue to pick up. So, healthy boundaries and limits. Those 4 stress responses, they're automatic. Okay. And some of them we are more naturally, depending on our personality, depending on our history, how we've been taught to protect ourselves. And I'm not talking necessarily in violence. I'm talking just in manipulation, in always being the person who absorbs the other person's story so that you don't just carry your own burden, but you've got, sort of like watching the news, and have you ever noticed that positive news doesn't count? All right. And you ever come away from the news thinking, the world just cannot be that bad? All right. It just can't be. Somebody's hyper-focusing here. Well, that's what happens when you're always the guy who does the listening and you're absorbing the other person's feelings, the other person's anger, the other person's whatever. All right. So we're going to go back and we're going to use some of the information because it's very solid and very well developed by Dr. Bruce Perry and Oprah Winfrey in the book called What Happened to You. All right. And as I was starting to review that, I realized it really is important to bring that discussion forward because it's a little piece of what most of you are saying. Why do I do that? Why is that my analysis? Why is that my decision? Why can't I do what I want to do for myself? What I know I need to do for myself. So right now, you knew there was going to be work, didn't you? You knew it. Come on. This is like a little group we run, all right, where there's a work project. All right. Out come the papers and pens. I'll give you a second to get them because I want you to write something down. Ellie holds hers up. I have it. Here's the evidence. I have it. Oh, wonderful. Love it. Okay, so what are the listen to the question first, okay? What are the primary themes, okay, or emotions or behaviors of the people who surround you most often? What are the primary themes? Come on. Some of you are looking puzzled. Am I being clear? Oh, we've got to mute. Yeah. Thanks, Hannah. What are the primary themes of the people who surround you most often? Are they complaining? Do they come to you with negativity rather than a balance of shared positive experiences? Are they aggressive? Are they angry? Are they passive aggressive? Are they narcissists? Are they manipulative? Are they fair? So fair would be an equal balance appropriate to the situation of positive and negative. Are they solution focused? Do they want to resolve things, or do they want to dump? Now, they may not want to dump on you, but they always bring in crap. It's sort of like the cat that brings the whatever they catch to the door, an unwanted gift. Thank you. No. All right. What are the themes? And are you aware of them? You know why that's important? Because depending on what the context is of your day-to-day life, what you can count on, what you protect yourself from by setting healthy boundaries and limits, all right? Those themes, all right, will impact you. That will be an additional load. Not if it's a one-off, but if it's a pattern. Now, under that pattern, one or two words that you've written for what the pattern is, now I want you to write in no more than one sentence, one short sentence. Be brief with yourself. What is the impact on you? What is the takeaway? Are you better for it? Do you feel stronger, more alive, more affirmed? And affirmed can be somebody brings a problem to you because they trust you, but they're not dumping. They're not venting their anger. They're not asking you to continually process negativity. Sometimes you can come away feeling affirmed, like, wow, I'm honored that that person trusted me. But if it's a pattern, then there's some work they need to do, and it will impact you. So if you're carrying your own load and you're carrying habitually somebody else's load, or passive, they're not doing what they need to do. And so there will be a repercussion for you, and then you have to do the job. That's abuse. That's abuse. All right. If you're continually have to clean up after the other guy. And it will wear you down. It will be like wearing the degree to which that's happening. I want you to imagine a winter coat. All right. I want you to imagine you've got a winter coat on. Now, normally that protects you, right? Yeah. Okay. Now I want you to imagine that you take that winter coat, you put it in the bathtub, and you soak it with water. Even warm water, doesn't matter. Now put that coat on. you're carrying the extra load. All right. And the reason I'm really underscoring this is that will influence the energy and the focus and your mindset, the feasibility that there are answers. All right. To find and recognize the opportunities to find peace and balance. And then more importantly, to hold on to it. All right. Because you've been influenced by the drama, the crisis, the put downs, the judgment, all right, the harshness, the negative messages, the fears, even if they're not about you, the attitudes and behaviors of others. Do you see where we create an expectation of ourselves, but we don't factor in the context that we're living in? It isn't just about clutter that builds up. It isn't just clutter to hoarding that builds up. If that's happening, you can be sure that there are other examples of clutter, hoarding, and excessive negative something, all right, that you're also storing. I want you to be aware of that. So your homework this week is every single day, at the end of the day, I want you to sit down and simply, doesn't have to be an epistle, all right, in simple, clear language. Has it been a good day or not a good day? I want that zero, that by on it. It's been a good day or it's been a bad day. And then I want you to put down, if it's been a good day, what did you contribute to making it a good day? What did others who are part of your network contribute to it being a good day? If it's been a bad day, I want you to write down simple. What did you contribute to it being a bad day? And what did others contribute to it being a bad day? Now you do get a second choice, a third choice, okay? The third choice is, it's been a kind of day. Okay, all right, because they happen. All right. Now I want you to do exactly the same thing, but I want you to put not just about you and another person. I want you to put what made it a good day. So on the upswing of the day, what made it a good, the part of it that was good? What made that good? Every day, folks, we got to see a pattern here. Okay. And guess where we're going with the next one? What made it a bad day? And then at the end of the week, by the next time you come back, I want every single one of you, because you are all, do this with a mirror. If there's fog on that mirror, this is happening to you. Okay? So nobody is exempt. Come on back next week, and I want you to be able, in a way that protects you, to say what those patterns were. All right? No more carrying vague, amorphous pressures. We're going to name them. We're going to identify them. We're going to name them. And then we're going to find out where they come from. And then we're going to talk about strategies to manage them. Manage sometimes is the best we can do. All right. There aren't magical solutions to everything, but there is always a way to get past it. And it is never by ignoring it or minimizing it. So one of the things too, I want you to use, all right, on days when you're not feeling you're having your best day, I want you to use a pattern that is well known in human nature. And that is what we did with babies. Do you remember babies? All right. If you've had them or not had them, what do you do when you try to soothe a baby? Rhythm. Rhythm. All right. Rocking is a form of rhythm. Walking is a form of rhythm. But it's about rhythm. It's about movement. All right. And so that same strategy, incorporating rhythm into your life. Now that can be by having a routine that you follow that centers you, that gives you momentum. All right. It can be dance, it can be music, it can be anything that adds a rhythm to your life, is a natural soother. It doesn't just work for babies, it works for us as adults as well. It's immensely powerful. And we ignore it. We give the best to the babies. And then we give ourselves a hard time and a lot of judgment. Okay. So when we're seeking balance and peace, right, the outcome of that will be one of the most important accomplishments you will ever achieve. And that is to own self-regulation. All right. Self-regulation, very simply, is the ability to make a choice, a considered choice, and then to deliver on it for yourself and others. Put your own mask on first. All right. Right. Because when you can self-regulate better, and it's work, all right, what happens is you limit the negative side effects. If you limit the negative side effects, I'm not saying they magically go away. You limit them because you manage them. Then you also get 2 bonuses for the same behavior. You also limit the after effects, those lingering after effects that are associated with not self-regulating. Things like limiting beliefs. The only reason that any one of us have limiting beliefs and automatic choices that aren't good, okay? The only reason is that we have habituated those. There is no power in those. There is no automatic positivity in those. There is no payoff in those. We have habituated them. And so what we've basically done is we have strengthened the limiting belief muscle. You do this with one arm and you don't do it with the other. Guess what? This arm will always be the stronger. Not because it's any different or any better, but because we go there first. Repeat, 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 repeat. Do you see the importance of fighting for self-regulation? All right. Okay. All of our systems, all right, and our body has many of them. All of our systems, our mind, our body, our spirit, our energy, they are all, every time, no matter what choice you make, they are always on your side. They are always trying to heal you, but they can only try that system with what they see available. All right. And they're continuously, your body, your physical sense, your mental sense, your emotional sense, your spiritual sense, they're always monitoring our inside world and our outside world. That's why getting the context of what the side effect of the most frequent visitors into your life and what they're leaving at your door is so important, because that's one of the things your senses are picking up. And if people are continually leaning on you or being rude or neglectful or judgmental or whatever it is, and that can be the committee too. That can be voices from the past. All right. And you're not managing those, they become real to your senses. And your senses have to incorporate that because they deal with what is. They don't deal with what could be. All right. So your mind, your body, your emotions, your spirit, your energy can only be successful to the extent that they can see and access what they know you need. Think about that one. Stress is not a bad thing. Stress can be a wonderful motivator, but stress repeated and repeated out of control, it's so habitual, is never a good thing either. All right. So today, what I'd like is for as many of you as feel it's even possible, all right, to make a conscious decision that when you become aware of your stress, even if you don't know what to do, you will do something differently. You will try something differently than what you normally do. No more hitting the couch, no more going back to bed, no more negative self-talk, no more calling a friend who will just listen and not actually engage. All right? Do anything differently. Make a different choice. Okay? And if it could be one that gives you a fair chance at recalibrating, so it's at least neutral or maybe has a little bit of positivity to it, all right, you'll know if it's in the right neighborhood of a more productive choice, because what will happen to you? You'll feel even slightly de-stressed. Keep going in that direction. All right. Look for similar things. Maybe you sit down and you crochet or you knit or you write or you put the music on, close the door, close the windows so the neighbors don't have to listen, turn the music up and you dance. All right. Maybe you go and soak in a hot tub. Maybe you write a friendly letter to yourself, like you were somebody's friend and this was happening to them. What would you say to them to encourage them and sustain them? All right. And then surprise yourself. Go back to the top of the letter and put your name on it. Dear Elaine. Do it. It sounds silly, but do it. Do all of the kind, loving, supportive, positive things that you would do for somebody else. Try them on yourself. All right? Because that will be you doing something differently. And different is what we need. And it gives you, because you're kind of running a little experiment, aren't you? And the more you're willing to run little experiments, the more, my friends, you're going to trip over something that has huge success potential. Because even a stopped clock is right twice a day. If you do something differently, law of averages, some of those times It's going to immensely work well for you. Surprise, and it will be a surprise. So, I feel really good. For instance, one of the things I used to do, I never prayed that I had the house to myself, but when I did, okay, I would close the curtains. I used to teach dancing. And it was a detached house, so there wasn't an apartment I was bugging underneath me. And I would turn up the music and I would dance all over the house like a complete fool. All right. One time, embarrassingly, I did forget to close the front curtains, and my daughter was being returned home by the person she'd been babysitting for. And they sat outside for about an hour and a half just watching me dance. Now, I was fully dressed. There was no question about it. But you know what? It worked. What will work for you? What will work for you? Another thing I strongly suggest, I really recommend this, and it may be because I'm Irish and I have slightly red hair, but it does work. Whatever's bugging you, all right, whatever is weighing you down, make it an entity outside yourself. Imagine it as a person and then talk back to it. Tell it off. All right. Talk back out loud. Out loud. Now, I don't suggest doing this when other people are standing or around you, because the little men with the white jackets will probably come. But try it. Try it. And on your worst days, when you feel that nothing's going right, all right, imagine that a friend, a really dear friend, was up against it. All right. And they were coming to you with this. Write them a letter. And then go back to the beginning and write your name. Dear Sunday, dear Leslie, dear Carol, dear Peter, dear each and every one of you. All right. Okay. So for the next few podcasts, we're going to delve deeper, okay, into a new version of Conquer the Challenges, because this is a challenge. And we're going to be looking at strategies, all right, that help with the side effects of what has happened to us, all right? And let me see, I just get myself here. We're going to try really, really hard to reward ourselves so that we lighten the stress, or we at least manage it. Can we make it go away? Not necessarily, but you're going to know that you are having some positive effect, because your body and your mind will start doing better things for you, even a little bit, like better sleep, less distraction. How many people here have some element of ADHD or ADD? All right, less distraction. Not no distraction. We're not remaking you as an individual, but less. You get a little better handle on it. More energy. All right. More energy is a huge thing. More focus, not just less distraction. That's the negative, but more focus. Perfect focus? No, no. And maybe you will be kind enough and loving enough of yourself, all right, that you won't be trying to overreach and then measure yourself against unrealistic goals. All right. Fastest way to defeat. Because quite often, when these little pluses that we never associate with our mind and body, our spirit, our soul, helping us manage the load we carry, all right, we get a little kind of a chuckle. You get a little bubble of happiness or okayness, or, you know what, I thought something negative would happen, and an awareness it didn't happen. Or even if it did happen, didn't happen as overwhelmingly. So when you can sleep well, when you have more energy, not perfect, all right, that will allow you the energy not to opt for dysregulated behaviors. Dysregulated behaviors are always a sign of pressure. Unfortunately, what goes along with dysregulated behavior and choices are the consequences. Clean up in aisle 11. All right. And generally clean up in aisle 11, like you're exhausted at the same time and you're not your own best friend. Okay. So I want everybody to run a little experiment. All right. And because this is a clutter-hoarding podcast, right now, it's going to be an experiment right now. Okay, everybody close your eyes. Now, imagine, don't panic and your eyes blow open here. Imagine the worst area for clutter, hoarding, whatever it is, in your environment. Now get a really good picture, a really good image in your mind of what it actually looks like. Now, just as importantly, what does it feel like? Let it go to the deeper level. Keep your eyes shut. Now, I want you to listen to the self-talk in your head. Listen to it. And at the same time, I want you to monitor your body and what your mind is doing. Can you even keep your eyes shut? Or is it too profound? Too overwhelming? I want you to monitor for any reactions you have to those messages, the sensations, the feelings, the thoughts, the self-talk. Now I want you to ask yourself, how do you feel? How do you feel? Does doing that, making that your choice, does it help you feel ready, willing, able to take on a challenge? How many people here, and you leave your eyes shut if you want, but how many people here, put your hand up, all right, if that internal process of self-talk and reactions and sensations is sort of like fuel to get started? There are no hands up, and that is not as, oh, I have one little tiny one. Okay, we're going to talk about that one. We had one tiny one. So it's a fuel to get started, is it? Okay, so how many people instead felt a little disoriented, a little like this is the last place I want to be? Yeah, okay. A little overwhelmed. Overwhelmed is a word I hear a lot. A little discouraged. Maybe a little defeated. Okay. But when you focus only on the negative, that's what you're going to feel. That is what you mobilize. And the negative is not the only part of the story. All right. Now I want you to repeat the experience, the exercise, but I want you to do it a little differently. Close your eyes, please. Now, if you can imagine an area in your home, either in your home or a picture in a magazine or a book that you have got pretty clear memory of. All right. Now I want you to notice the simplicity, the order. Really got one eye open and one eye closed, Kelly. She's not quite committed to the intersection, officer. Now I want you to be aware of the aesthetic. Is it pleasing to you? If you look at that picture, okay, now, what are you saying? If that was your home or that area that really bugs you, really bothers you, what are you saying to yourself as you imagine it? Not just being in a magazine, but actually being the space you just had to look at the other way. It's yours, you own it. Is that feeling closer to the goal you have? And even though you might not feel it 100%, are you better for imagining that goal as what you're looking for? Do you get, when you compare the feelings from the last exercise, all right, and the feeling from this exercise, is there any relief at all that you feel? Now, if you were somebody who was setting a goal based on a desire, and you wanted something that would be closer and doable in your reality, all right, which of those two states of mind would you rather be in? Which of those two states of mind do you think gives you more clarity, more optimism, more hope, more motivation, would let you come up with a more precise plan, less pain? And if you thought that by keeping a positive mindset, all right, and imagining what that end product will look like and feel like and how it will operate for you. Now add the fact that you won't have to worry about being discovered. You won't have to worry about your landlord or your mortgage company or whatever. All right. There are two ways that we can motivate ourselves. I've talked to you about this before. All right. The carrot and the stick. Now, the stick, don't kid yourself. That beat yourself up routine, that'll get you going. All right, that'll get you going. It will particularly get you going if your fanny's in the fire and there are going to be some serious consequences imminently. Nothing like the stick then, boy, I'll tell you. However, the thing about the stick is it only lasts so long as you are in crisis. The moment even the fleeting hope that the crisis has passed, poof, it vaporizes. It's amazing how fast that motivation, that energy, that focus can disappear. Now the carrot's a little different, sorry. The carrot, that incentive, that building a realistic plan that respects not just the vision, but the energy you have to bring to it consistently, because you're working to self-regulate, to have that energy a little more increasingly available to you, to enjoy life, but to also put a dent in the ways you don't like your life. That carrot, that motivation, that image, that vision, all right, is out in front of you. And you will always continue to move forward to it unless you go back to the negative self-talk. All right. And it will keep you moving. It will also do little things like warn you. You're taking on too much. It'll send you little messages like, when was the last time we could clean up the whole bathroom in 15 minutes? All right. It'll be a friend to you. It'll be, yeah, you know what? Yeah, we could do that in 4 hours. And then what? Then we're going to feel like we were hit by a Mack truck. And when the good things happen today, we won't have any energy for them. We'll be looking at them and it'll be one more promise that didn't deliver. All right. It will send you realistic messages, the carrot. The question is, it'll help you strategize too. All right. Not just see a goal, but strategize, because it's constantly out in front of you. Okay, what is the objective today? Now, I'll show you how, in practical terms, here, in practical terms, okay, in practical terms, do I have anybody's name on there? All right, I'll do it this way. I do have people's names on there. Hold on. All right, this is, I happen to be very visual. All right, so what I did on my computer was I made this form. I made this form. Okay, the to-do form. All right, you see it's got a to-do, it's got a date. Okay, so you would never fill every line, but every day gets a new page, because every day I wake up, it's a new page of my life. I don't put 100 things on here. I put no more than what I feel. I've got the steam in the tank to do, but here's the thing. I have self-regulated myself. All right. It's a pain in the neck sometimes, but it feels good. 99.9% of the time, it feels good. And I make myself accountable for what's on that list. And then being kind to myself, because I can't control my life. I can't control my day, and neither can you. I give myself no more than 48 to 72 hours to finish any of the other things, and only the priorities go on here. Only the priorities. I don't know what is the priority. There's short of something that cuts off your oxygen supply, okay, closes in a femoral bleed, or stops projectile vomiting, all right, short of those things, it doesn't really matter. Now, what would be, this is my carrot, and it helps me focus. All right, it's a simple thing. I did it myself. Okay, what would be your carrot? As we close today, get that paper and pen. What do you think would be the best vehicle for you to decide is your carrot? Does your carrot solve the whole problem? No. That's a magic wand, people. Okay, magic wands don't work. Okay, because this is real life. What would be your carrot? That and it's a carrot because when I get movement even on those things, some things turn out to have some surprises and I can't complete them. But I get movement. I feel pretty good. All right, I feel pretty good. I feel like, makes me feel safe that, you know what, that thing can't jump up and bite me. What's your carrot? Are you visual? Are you auditory? Are you kinesthetic? kinesthetic is. You need the feel of it. What's your carrot? I know somebody who made their carrot accountability to, now, not that anything terrible was going to happen to them, but accountability to 2 of their friends who volunteered to be. Yeah, call me and tell me what you're going to do. And yeah, tomorrow, call me and tell me what you made progress on. All right. And don't forget, when you make that progress, a little progress or a lot of progress, depending on what those items are, what's the last step always? No matter whether there's a lot more to do or not, what is the last step always? Eat the carrot. Eat the carrot. Take a big bite out of it and say, maybe you don't, but good for me. I reached some of the carrot. I'm proud of myself. I don't care how much more there is to do. I did that. And I feel good about myself. And even if I feel a little odd saying that, because, Mom always said, the whole bedroom had to be perfect, or whatever the story was. I don't mean to diss moms, but even if there's more left over, doesn't matter. You'll get to that tomorrow, or a chunk of it. Because you really deserve to be proud of yourself, despite what happened to you. Whether you had those messages as a child or not, it's time to reparent yourself if you didn't. It's time to be your own best friend and your own parent. And you say to yourself what you should have been told, all right, as a child. And we undo the story of what happened to you. We mitigate it. We bring it into the present. And we're going to start that next week with some strategies for doing that, how to do that. So I'd like to see everybody back here for step 2. Okay? You have a great week. I wish you only the best.